Thank you very much for the questions. First, with regard to who are we talking to? We're talking to everybody, and you saw at the dialogue were represented except in terms of parliament, who came to grandstand and claimed he was doing a walkout, which was a well-planned grandstanding. So those are the two parties that did not come. That were not represented there. So you heard what political parties had to say. You heard what we said in terms of local government. And none of those parties who were there talked about 2024. The contentious issue was the question of the bill. To then, how do we regulate? And others were arguing against that, especially the small political parties. Of course, they've got fears that if such a bill were to come into place, because what we are saying is that the party that wins must be the one that lead the talks for constituting government, which is a reality. And then grand coalition means that you can talk to everybody for the sake of the people and respecting the outcome of the election. Grand coalition means that you are a majority, you are voted as the 3, 4, 5 parties, then form government. The current arrangement is political, where in which parties can gang up against the party that has won and decide who governs the city. Even the party with a smaller percentage will become the mayor. And then citizens ask questions. Why is so and so the mayor? He is a mayor because of the outcome of negotiations and the discussions. It's not regulated. So you ask a question, why is so and so a mayor in a particular metro and all of that? Why is the ANC not giving the mayor? We do have the capabilities, we've got experience to govern, but we did not win the majority. We would love to give a mayor for Johannesburg. Would love to allow the DA, as it has done in Pretoria, to give the mayor, because they've won Pretoria, but they have not won Port Elizabeth. Let us give the mayor, and not, unless we as the party, we say no, we are not ready, we think so, let us give over to EFF or so and so. So that's what these discussions involve. So a dialogue in itself, it's a process of engagement, and you sift out issues of disagreement, and at the same time build a consensus for the sake of the country. At the end of the day, this country must be run, potholes must be fixed, budgets must be spent. People of Soweto want to know what their municipality does for them, the same as the people in Atteridgeville, where the ANC is out of power, rules with its allies and all of that. We will engage the DA where it fails to deliver in terms of the municipality, the same as we expect them to engage us where we are in power and we are not delivering with our coalitions. So that is what the dialogue is all about. And we are talking with political parties through that dialogue. Now that we've got a declaration and a consensus on a whole range of issues, now we need to take those issues forward in the context of governance and those who are agreed. You must understand that legislation and everything that goes with it is not dependent on one single political party with 2%. It is first informed by its constitutionality. That's the most important thing. The second part is that there is a consensus among political parties to move. Now, you can't come with 2% and want to hold back a process that assists the forward momentum of the country. You can't. And then you bow out and you run politics with the tactics of threats, and you run politics with the tactics of vulgar, and that is your choice, is your tactics, but they cannot hold us back. The question is, we engage. And if we agree, we move forward. And that's what is important. So the dialogue, as how we understand it among political parties, is to engage on these matters. And then if we don't reach a consensus, we don't agree, it means the status quo will remain. We'll continue the way we are going forward. But at some point, this constitution was born out of a process of dialogue and consensus. That's what is important. And even when we are confronted with the bigger challenge, as political parties don't win outright majority to govern, you've got to address, not as a phenomenon, as a challenge, the issue of coalitions. Do coalitions really work for our democracy? They don't. That is the reality, because you don't hold one party accountable in terms of its ability to govern. And some of the experiences we're talking about is that how do we insulate civil servants, meaning the management of municipalities, from political leadership? For instance, here in Joburg, when you change coalition, the municipal manager will go, all right? And all his people. The new coalition that will come will bring their own new people. And then you ask the question, why are there potholes, things not fixed? We come from a culture where, at least in Johannesburg, we know that our roads were fixed, everything was being done, and all of that. But the change of leadership has affected management of running the municipality. Now, these are very cogent, reasonable things that have been put across. And political parties, all of us, we agree on these things. That, look, at the end of the day, we do have self-interest, but at the end, we serve the people. And local government cannot come to a standstill because we did not win. We've got to work and work together to a certain extent if the product is not outright majority for a particular political party. That is the reality that we live in. And that reality is the reality that we are living in the era of hung municipalities at local government level. What will happen in 2024 is not even on the table, because 2024, the possibility that it will produce a coalition government and all of that will depend on the outcome of the election. And like we say, as the ANC, we are not working for a coalition with other political parties. We are working for outright majority and a decisive victory to continue to govern this country. And that is what we are doing. Whether people believe it or not, or they like it or not, or they believe they can cut us below 50 and force a coalition or a government of national unity and all of that, it will depend on the outcome. But our forward march is to work for decisive victory as the African National Congress, and there is no confusion about that. Junior, there is no censorship. Let me start first with the Youth League. The Youth League says there is a problem of unemployment in the country, and the Minister of Unemployment is a problem, and therefore is a yellow communist. Now, if the Youth League says there is a problem of unemployment or SASCO, they must be able to back it up and engage that government, you are failing us on this issue. And they engage the ANC. Even if they say that in public, there's nothing wrong. But it's got nothing to do with my looks, either ideologically or otherwise. Whether I am fat or whatever, that's got nothing to do with politics. What is important is advance the argument. SASCO fight bigger battles in the campuses of NSFAS, and they make Comrade Blade to sweat. But they need to engage, but equally, they represent a constituency that is restless. They too are students. They are not people in the streets who are not students. When you talk about financial exclusion, when you talk about NSFAS, they are affected. They are leaders of students who themselves must lead student struggles. And that is what is important. So They are free to engage with that. And then we must respond to that as government and as a party. To a certain extent, even as a party, we can assist them. Where we believe that, no, but they've got a point. There is a problem fundamentally with regard to this and that. Remember, sometimes we as the ANC, we may not see things that young people see. But young people, their responsibility, apart from just being a necessary irritation, they've got a responsibility to also provide ideas. And ideas is not insults. It's about arguing in the revolution to say that in the struggle, comrades, you are selling out the revolution for the following reasons. We argued in 1990, not so long ago, about the strategic perspective that brought us to where we are now, transition and a negotiated political settlement. We were very restless. We didn't like it. We said our leaders are selling out, but we did not go to platform and say that this leadership we've got here, led by Oliver Tambo, because by that time, or Nelson Mandela is selling us out. The ANC leadership came to us and told us, not told us, they started to educate us about the strategic perspective. We also argued back why we believe the path of negotiations is not the right one. Peter Mokaba was our president. He was not just a sloganeer, not just agitating the youth party, agitated them also in terms of content, political content. So that's what we expect from our youth, but we don't expect them all the time to be on the right path. We've got to share with them our past experiences, but we can't suppress them because dissent is necessary. But all what we were raising as the ANC is that there's no need to attack a comrade personally. When I said Pravin, I didn't say personal things about him. I was attacking the content of government moving faster on the issue of logistics and freight and implementing the policy of the ANC, moving goods from road to rail. And that is what is important, you must understand. So don't misunderstand that as an attack on anybody. We don't believe that the Youth League is incorrect. That is why we said that it is a bit regrettable that you now go and say a comrade is yellow, a communist, and isolate him from the pack and attack him. Raise the issues that you think the department is not executing in the context of the policy of government and of the ANC. The Youth League is led by the ANC, doesn't invent its own policy. If they go to meetings and they sit in meetings and they discuss in their meetings that for us to move faster, we need this intervention in terms of policy, they must come and sell it to the ANC. We just stopped others in Northwest who wanted to have a press conference and discuss who must be the premier. Yeah, the Youth League. Yeah, we stopped them because it is not business like before where you discuss ANC matters when you've got a platform to engage. If they've got issues about premiership and all of that, why do they call a press conference? They can come to the PwC, to the PEC and argue. Why do you go to a press conference and say a deployed cadre of the ANC must be removed? More especially being insensitive because Comrade Bushi is ill. So I think Comrade Nono and the leadership and the Youth League, they found each other. This business of running an organization loosely with ill discipline and think that is militancy and being radical, it's incorrect. It doesn't mean that the Youth League president cannot attack. As long as he is defending the policy of the ANC and believe that that policy has been short-sighted, undermined or derailed by us, he's got a right to do that. He doesn't have to say that, name and shame individuals and leadership. Be political, be principled, and even come to the ANC and defend your political statement. I was called to order as the president of the Youth League because I said women are paraplegic. I never understood And then I started to speak English and I said that is figurative speech. They said that figurative speech is wrong. You can't say when you talk to your mothers, you say to them that now I understood many years later that I was wrong. And Kgalema Motlanthe had to take me through that. The leadership of the ANC attacked me for that. They wanted me to be disciplined, to go to the DC. And then Motlanthe, as the SG, said, no, we must not doubt the bona fides of the president of the Youth League. We must educate him why it is wrong to say that. Today I'm older. I even matured on that statement before I became SG. I understood that I couldn't say that. That's not politics, that's gutter politics. I should have criticized the Women's League and say, look, it's not my problem that you are unable to articulate your views like us. Leave us alone. I should have probably said that in a very polite way or whatever. But to say you are paraplegic, it was found to be something not just unpalatable but incorrect, because the values that are planted by the ANC in the youth teaches society to behave the same. So it means young people will look at women in the same way and basically shout at them the way we do. But ANC has never stopped us from thinking. Never. Sometimes we are an irritation to the ANC. You say things that leadership doesn't, and leadership can sleep on the job, politically speaking. Can sleep on the job. But the youth must be militant in terms of ideas and engage the leadership. So I've answered that particular question. Western Cape, I think it's a matter that requires leadership. We agree with you. And we're talking with our comrades in the Western Cape. But the argument also is equally important to understand that they have been very cautious not to politicize this matter. Because they honestly believe government must be able to the industry and find a solution. They've been very wary to come in opportunistically as though they want to win votes. Who are crude, who want to win votes on everything. And we understood, we had a meeting late last night at 10 o'clock with the leadership. And then they said, we have been very cautious about this issue. Yes, this matter affects our people. We have been in talks with Santaco. We are not the kind of people who want to go and claim easy victories. We have been raising with Santaco that your demands are legit, but do not ban your own people. Ban them in buses. The legitimacy of your decisions and your moral high ground is undermined by erratic activities. But your demands, as the ANC, we are with you. And we are with Santaco in relation to what they are fighting for. And the intervention of the minister, guided by the National Land Transport Act. Because the National Land Transport Act says something in relation to impounding of vehicles and all of that. But there is this problem we are dealing with in South Africa, that Western Cape is an island, and then it wants to project itself, and these are people who uphold the rule of law. The issue in Cape Town and the strike of the taxi industry, you can never resolve the mobility and public means of transport for the working class and think you can resolve it without the taxi industry. This fallacy that you can do that without them is incorrect. We know the challenges we face with the taxi industry, and I don't want to talk about them because when I left government, we already started the processes of regulating the industry, and there was consensus through the taxi indaba to implement that. We had task teams to implement that, and we are intervening precisely because this economy of the taxi industry is operating in the fringes, you know, and it's not part of the formal economy. And people do as they wish there. They abuse our people, they do all sorts of things, and so on. And but it's an important industry in our country, and that need to be reformed, and which is what government must actually lead. But with regard to Cape Town, the issue of lawlessness as the issue, when government could have intervened and resolved matters amicably with regard to the demands of the taxi industry there, and they find each other, is now being elevated, projecting others as victors. To me, it's nothing else but easy victory, and wanting to play big in a small town, and want to proclaim that you have won the war. You have not. You are just oppressing our people, because when you oppress our people, probably the people you represent as a political party will not suffer from a taxi strike, prolonged taxi strike. And that's why Comrade Cindy, the minister, has gone there, because a prolonged taxi strike is not in the interest of the poorest of the poor in the Western Cape. If I stay in Camps Bay, that taxi strike, I watch it on television like you in Johannesburg. It doesn't affect you at all. It affects the people of Kugule to Mitchell's Plain, Kaelicha. That taxi strike affects them. The taxi violence, because you threaten the buses not to come in and the trains, there must be a standstill, it still affects our people. Who dies in that taxi strike? So it was important for the Western Cape government, not even Western Cape, the Metro, to intervene decisively and close the strike in the interest of the people. Close the strike, make compromises, and not be intransigent. You want to impound, you want to do everything, people must pay 10,000 and so on. Those issues can be resolved. I've been in the Western Cape resolving taxi feud and strikes. I spent 5 days with the DA government there, working with them, and we resolved the issues amicably, because we understood that these strikes affect the poorest of the poor and our people. And then in the long term, have a decent discussion on the sideline as to how then you can resolve these issues in the long term permanently. I can't comment on the KZN. We will be in KZN on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, taking forward the NWC visit. We made a promise there to give the cow, not a promise, we have given the cows to the king. So we said we can't deliver them in a hotel. So we'll go as Godwin at the palace to deliver the cows. And then we will meet with the Provincial Executive Council. We do have a report on the KZN Provincial Executive Council and the performance of municipalities. And then we will meet with the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC. Only then I can answer your questions in terms of, because you have arrived at the conclusion that the Premier is poor, is performing poorly. Yeah, no, I'm saying we cannot come to that conclusion yet. We are going to engage with our structures in KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, we are intervening to structures. Mabuya Khulu is one of the people we are going to deploy in KZN to work with the comrades and coordinate election structures, not to replace Mtolo, to work with him. Mtolo is an elected secretary of the ANC, so he can't be replaced. So he will work with his experience. It's not only Mabuya Khulu, all other comrades with experience who have worked in KwaZulu-Natal will be deployed to work on the elections, work with their experience, and work with the comrades in the province. So that's what is going to happen.